Hi everybody, the reading journal information is launched up here. I have the 3 different documents that you need, or I should say 3 files that you need, and the basic instructions. I want everybody to give these a shot tomorrow. Start with the template itself. I include one there that's blank, and I include another one there that's a sample of semesters past. So now the header here now says reading journals, charts, pages, templates, samples, and instructions. The materials and instructions are as followed. Included here you'll find the template for your reading journals, a student example from a prior semester. So the examples on that semester sample are from a different book, We Fed an Island by Jose Andre, along with a short introduction video. Take your time getting acclimated to the process. Give it a try with some of your own quotes. We'll take a look at some of those and review them together on Thursday before we start talking about Essay 1. So, in other words, you're going to be going through these little readings that you've been doing and annotations in your book, and you're going to just be picking out 5 from your sections of reading. You already have quite a bit of reading done. At least it was assigned, so you got a lot of pages to pick from. Right now I want you guys to start tomorrow with the first chart, the Immorality Act through page 50, which is going to be page Roman numeral 12, I believe it is. I put it on the template for you. But in any event, I'm going to show you the pieces that I have here for you guys to work with. The template is here for you guys to open up and utilize as soon as this does open up. Okay. Normally a double tap just opens it up. In any event, the setup here is already done in an MLA format for the reading journal. So each week you're going to have your date here in MLA format. The pages that you're covering, you guys have 12 through 50. Immorality Act is on Roman numeral 12. Usually when there's preface information at the beginning of the book, they don't start it with the page numbers. On the Arabic numerals, they start with Roman numerals. The title is up here, italicized as it should be for the title of a book. Your name obviously goes here. No one's name in the class is Kilgore Trout. You also have the page numbering up here already begun. So you guys, what you essentially will be doing is going to your book and looking for small passages that you guys have quoted or underlined for a quote and copy them into these sections. So for instance, if I'm looking at this one right here, I might type as follows. So I magically typed that very fast. So I put this in here, a quote right from the beginning of the book, and I typed this in word for word as it is out of that book. Now, I want to do a couple of things here. First and foremost, I want to format this as an MLA cited quote from the book. So now that I have this typed in, I want to go back and make sure that I put my quotes in the proper place. And I'm going to put my quote here and move that period away, right? I don't need the period inside there because I know that I have my citation that must come. And I'm going to be just typing in the author's last name. And I want the page number for that. And the page number at the beginning of my book right there that actually gets one of those numbers, I believe is page 4. It's 3. So it's page 3. And then my closing parenthetical followed by the quote at the period at the end. Excuse me. So now this entire thing is in an MLA format. The only thing that I'm going to add additional here is I'm going to give it a little introductory commentary before it, and I'm going to say Noah stated. This setup right here, guys, if you note from what you've been doing in your annotations, you've been copying, you've been underlining different passages that you find of interest. Now you're going to put them in here, and the way that we're putting them in here like this, and I want everybody just to follow this basic pattern, right? In this basic pattern here, I don't have to have this Noah stated, you just have to have this whole thing in quotation marks. And there is a basic piece of criteria for in-text citations, and that is you need to have the author's last name and the page number when you quote stuff. So you could have either or with these. You could have Noah stated and then 3 down here is the page number, or we can just have this in quotes like this as I had it originally for Trevor Noah. So I want you to at least get to practicing on these where you put the quotes in and have the citation following with the author's last name and the page number. Note that the period is outside here, not inside. Quotation marks go around these different parts. Now there's a reason that I put the quotation marks on after I was done. And I'm going to show you that with one more brief quote. And I'm going to type this in one here in the next line. And I'm going to do my quotes afterwards, and you'll see why I waited until after I was done to put those quotes in. Now what I did here was go to the bottom of the page and just pick another quote. But this one is dialogue. And the reason that I picked this one was to show you guys this distinction. This portion that's up here from the top of page 3, this entire portion is just him writing the narration of the story. This down here, these white people are here whether we like it or not. This portion right here is him in the book quoting someone else. If you go to page 3 and look at this, there are quotation marks around this passage already in the book like this. Okay? We're not going to put that in here just off the bat because we need to first note in here that that was a quoted passage in the original text. And this is why you do not type in the quotation marks beforehand. If you have a quote within a quote, that means it's cited from a quoted part of the original text. Once you type in your passage that was dialogue, you go in and put single quotation marks around the portion that had double quotation marks in the book, and then you go back and you put your doubles afterwards. Then we can put our space, our parenthetical, followed by the last name and page number, close out with closing parenthetical and the period. If we had done these backwards, if I had gone ahead and put the doubles in first, watch what happens to my first one. I put that in and it turns it backwards because it's thinking that it's an apostrophe. So it will do those incorrectly in your MLA format. So again, make sure that you guys put the dialogue in first and then go back and put the quotation marks in afterwards. The singles to acknowledge that there was a double in the book, and then the doubles around your singles. That goes for that setup no matter how it's formatted. Okay, so on this side, obviously, you are going to write your comments that you are starting to write in your book in the margins. You're going to fill those in here. I'm asking for 5 per section. Your date and page is already listed on here. The summary portion is a little bit more involved. The summary portion, I'm looking for a short paragraph. So let's go anywhere from 6 to 10 lines, where what you are doing is giving your reader a brief summary of everything that you remember happening in those pages. Roman numeral 12 through page 50. Give a brief description as though you were sitting down to lunch with someone and telling them the major details that came out of the book that you recall from those pages, right? This is a lengthy one, so you might have a longer summary there, but from here on we'll just have 1 week of reading each time that we do these different things. So I'm going to show you now real quickly. I'm going to close this out and I'm going to show you the sample that's here. And this is the student sample that's from a different book, and you can see how extensive this student was with their different quotes and their different setups over here with their commentary. They followed the protocol on these. See if I can, here's one with dialogue right here. And you'll note on this, there's a single quotation mark and a spot here and a spot here because in the book there were broken off parts that were quoted in the original text. So any part in the original text that has double quotation marks, you, after you're done typing in the quote, go back and put in the single ones where they had doubles, and then you put your doubles around the entire thing. So this one originally looked like this to acknowledge the double quotes that were in the original book by Jose Andre. Okay? And again, that's a book that was read last year. So then after you put those in there, excuse me, my cursor keeps moving. And then you go back in here and put these around like this. Okay, and you see the extensiveness of the summaries. I left 2 charts in here filled out. This was an face-to-face class, so they had a minimum of 10. Some students did 12 to 20. But plenty of example here to go on. And those are there for you guys to use at any time you need to, and this instructional video will be posted right here. If you got questions, write them down, give this thing a shot, and we will go over those again together on Thursday to make sure everybody's got it correct and understands what they're doing. And then after we get done with that, the quick review of these, we're going to be talking about Essay 1 and moving on to a full 4-page paper. See you guys in class. Hope everybody's doing well.